In some respects, I think it's the adverse publicity is way overblown. These companies would not develop these, spend millions and millions of dollars to develop these products, these commodities that wouldn't be safe. I know there's been comments made by very influential people saying that it's not safe. I think that there's certain commodities that are safe. I think the jury's still out on some of these other ones. Genetic corn is fine. I think cotton is fine. I don't think the fiber is unsafe. I don't think the seed that's fed to cattle is unsafe. But there's people are frightened because they don't know what it's all about. And I don't think that the companies that develop these products have done a very good job of trying to educate the public on just exactly, why they're doing this and the safety aspect. But it sure is great because you can imagine when the worms don't attack a plant because it's genetically altered and it isn't appealing to them. That is big. I did grow organic cotton for a while, and I've planted genetically altered cotton, and it was great because we didn't have to spray so much. And so you look at it, what do you want? You want to spray more, or do you want to not have pesticides on it and have a plant that is resistant to an attack on insects? I think the latter is acceptable as long as the science shows that it's safe. So the herbicide is killing weeds, pesticides are for insects. Herbicides, there's contact herbicides and there's pre-emergence herbicides. We use pre-emergence herbicides, but it's dissipated by the time the crop is completed for harvest. We have plant backs. We are regulated what you can put behind a certain crop. If you use a certain herbicide on a crop and you plant the crop, you harvest the crop, on the label it says you cannot plant this produce behind this herbicide so many days till it's gone. And all of the pre-emergence herbicides do not stay in the soil. They dissipate over time. In other words, it gets the weeds before they germinate or as they germinate. But it's selective where the crop can come through. You put it on prior to planting, that's pre-emergence. Post-emergence is a contact where you spray the weeds. There's some that are selective that won't hurt the crop. Right now they have Roundup Ready cotton. You've read about that, where you can spray over the top of the cotton doesn't die, but the weeds do. That's post-emergence herbicides. Pre-emergence is where you put down, an example is Treflan, and you put it on the ground, the soil, you incorporate it in the soil, and then you harrow off and you plant the seed. The cotton comes up, but the weeds don't. Pesticide illness, the only way that, which you probably read about in the media, is caused by either a mistake, a worker took off his protective clothes, or there was an error in the applicator. But that is rare. Of course, it gets a lot of media coverage when there is an accident, but out of all the pesticides that are applied in this valley, 99.999 are done in a safe way. And the Ag Commissioner and the state CDFA are very, very adamant about checking. We have to file notices of intent, and we way before we put on a pesticide, there's a computer program that monitors everything that goes in there. Endangered species are checked out. Everything is thorough. It's so thorough, contrary to what you've been reading, it is so thoroughly regulated and watched that very rarely do you have any violations like that. I think that the scare that the media puts out is overblown. I'm a farmer talking that way, but Gosh, I've been in the chemical business. I know what it takes, and you have to be very careful. And we don't go off the label, and there's inspections, and we have to file when it's done. The produce is followed all the way to the market to make sure there's no residue. So the consumer should feel comfortable that the growers and the ag commissioners and the state of California, CDFA, they have their fingers on it, and we're not gonna take a chance. You know, it's the way it is. Atrazine sometimes is used on in certain areas because it has a lot of residue, and but it's not used in this area at all. It's used on permanent crop or like corn in the Midwest at a low rate, but no, very rarely does the growers use it. It just isn't used anymore. It stays in the soil, and so we just don't want to use it. It's the American way. There's mergers, and big boys swallow up little boys, and they buy these companies out. And it's not only in farming, it's in everything. But how do we prevent that? You know, it's obvious that large companies will control the market. When I first started, there was dozens and dozens of chemical companies that were developing product. Now there's only a handful. You know, the Dows are gone, the Roman Haas's are gone. Now it's the big boys that have swallowed them up, but they have the money to develop new product. And it costs a fortune to develop a new product. A lot of the companies are leaving California because of the restrictions, of the regulations. They don't want to sell here. Oh, there's a lot of labels now that are being taken out of California. They cannot deal with it. It costs too much money. You know, the bottom line is, what does the consumer want? They want safe food and fiber. That's what they want. And we feel we give them a safe food and fiber, the best in the world. They want a good-looking produce. They want cosmetic. They don't want worms. They don't want aphid. They don't want fungus in the commodity. They want a good-looking product. The labels, the registrations on the chemicals will give them that, and it's within the science that it's safe. It's safe. That's the key. It is safe. I can't emphasize how safe it is. We don't use it if it's not safe. And it's not on the label, you don't use it. You can only use it one time or two times, and it's so much spaced apart. So the bottom line is that in my mind, and I'm a farmer, but I have to emphasize the fact that we do give them a good product, and it's a safe product.